been about a year since I created my home studio, and in that time I've learned the things that worked really well for me and the things that don't work so well. I've also seen my small business grow in ways that I did not predict, and because of that I'm kind of in desperate need of more space to work and more storage. You see this yarn behind me? That was not there before. I have absolutely loved the space that I created last year, and a lot of it will be staying the same because it really works for me and I'm so happy with it, but it definitely needs to grow. My partner and I are planning on buying our very first house this year, so I hadn't intended on making any changes to this studio space, and everything was pretty much working up until November last year. If you're a member of my Ko-fi, you would have seen me post about this project. But for those of you who don't know, let's talk about what triggered this. Throughout the year, I found things that I definitely want to change when it comes to building my own home studio when we move. But it was still workable as it was. But then in December, everything changed. I don't know if you've seen it, you might have done, but this video blew up on TikTok and Instagram. And with that came so many wonderful new followers, people who love my craft and love my art, and people who wanted to buy my crochet. I still can't get over the amount of love that people have given my crochet. It means the world to me, and the community has grown so rapidly. It's been incredible. It's been an absolutely wild ride, but it's been amazing. So because of that, I started really focusing on my crochet in December. I had so many custom orders coming in, and I've been prepping hoods and beanies for my next drops, and I'm trying to do them monthly, so you can imagine that's quite a bit of work. This has meant that I've been ordering yarn almost constantly, but I've had nowhere to store it. So it's kind of just been sitting in massive cardboard boxes over the house, which just isn't really workable. It's not been a nice clear space to work or live in. Every time I've walked into the studio, I've been overwhelmed, and I've been trying so hard to ignore it. Every time I sit down in the living room, there's yarn everywhere. There's barely anywhere to sit, and our sofa's massive. So it's time to fix that. So, what's the plan? Top of the list is a larger desk space. I found it so difficult to work in the small desk space that I've had for admin, creating art, packing orders, and everything else that I do in this studio. With the lack of storage, things ended up piling up on the desk, and over time I've just had less and less space to work in. There have been things on top of my laptops, there have been things on every square inch of the desk. And I also have plans to build my very first PC, thanks to everyone who's supported me over on Ko-fi, and I'll need somewhere for that to live. So I'll be switching out one of the desks from a 1 meter to a 2 meter long desktop. Don't worry, I'll be holding on to the old 1 meter one for my future home studio, so it won't go to waste. You can never have too much desk space, I've learned. Doing this completely blocks off the cupboard that I said in my last video that I wanted to keep accessible. Honestly, it didn't really stay accessible anyway, even though technically there was no furniture blocking it. I ended up using the space down there for storing packaging and my easel, and so it really was hard to get to anyway, and we haven't used that cupboard in a year. So my partner and I discussed the idea of blocking it off, and we're both cool with it since we're going to move this year anyway, if we're lucky. The next thing is storage. I love the Kallax unit that attaches to my desk. I think it's great, but I need more. I don't want to get rid of this one because it is perfectly good. So the plan is to stick a 2x2 on top of it. I hope that works as well as I think it will, but I might have to work out some kind of anchoring situation, but we'll deal with that when we get there. I also want to place a 2x1 Kallax on top of the desk to store my shipping label printer and scale and probably more yarn, but I'll be placing this on top of the part of the desk that is supported by the Alex drawers, so hopefully that'll be strong enough to support the weight. Aside from that, I definitely need better storage for my stickers and my pins. My pins are currently stored in the bags they came in a drawer, and although I tried to organise my stickers, I've just not really had the space. They've just kind of been in a pile, and it's been a bit of a nightmare to sort through when people buy them. I rescued these gross looking mini drawers from the trash, and honestly I think that once they've been cleaned up and painted, they'll be perfect. Honestly though, that will be a project in itself. There's a lot more to be done, but let's get on with it. So obviously the first step was going to be clearing it, and that was a task in itself. I started off with probably the bit that I really didn't want to deal with, and that is this section between the Kallax and the cupboard. Like I say, it was the intention to keep it clear and accessible, but it's just not realistic in such a small space. So we cleared that, and I'm going to block it, and it's all good because we won't be there forever. And then I had to clear the desk. I decided on just dumping everything on the desk on the left. It seemed like a good idea. I have had these screwdrivers for years and I am struggling with them because they've got no twisty bits. They're really like a horrible rubber texture and they are wrecking my hand. I had to unscrew everything from the desk and take the pegboard off, which is kind of awkward because it's pressed up against the wall, but it's all good. Bit of maneuvering, I got there in the end. I forgot it had a leg. This is so heavy. You really don't want to empty it? I decided not to empty it and I just persisted. It was really heavy, but I managed to get it there at the end. And this is me realizing that getting a 2-meter desk is going to be really tight. I really wasn't sure it was going to fit at this point, but I was going to do it anyway, so I guess we're going to carry on. Somehow I ended up with like 2 extra legs somewhere, and I don't know why I did that, but I do have 2 extra IKEA legs. So I did plan on moving the Alex drawers to like the other side of the desk, but I have, well, filled this desk, and I don't really want to take everything off to put the legs on the desk. So he is staying right where he is. And this is when I just kind of gave up. Echo, turn off the studio light. So I got hold of these cabinets that I think will be perfect for storing like my leather tags, for my hoods, for stickers, for like small things, jewelry supplies, and all that, and I think they will be ideal. They just need a lot of TLC. They look pretty gross at the moment. That's all like old dried glue, and they need a good clean and a good bit of care, so let's do that. So let's get all these drawers out, take the labels off, clean them. We are missing a bunch of drawers, so we're gonna have to do something about that, and some of them are stuck, so I'm spray painting. I was going to spray paint the whole bin, but I'm just going to spray paint the lids because I don't know if I have enough spray paint, and also I don't have enough space. But this is what we got. So we got a yellow one, and there's going to be pink and green. Feels a little too close to filming in public for my liking, so I won't film a whole lot, but I'm going to sand down the record cabinets. So don't have a whole lot of space, but this is what I'm working with. It's warm work, I'm fogging up, but I've done just the primer coat. I've done both of them, but the other one's inside. So the 3 bin lids have been sprayed and they are drying. 2 of them may need a gloss coat because the spray paints I got were not a gloss finish, even though the yellow one I did order a gloss finish, so I don't know what happened there, but that's fine. So I'll do that. It's got to be 24 hours, so I'll do that tomorrow. And the drawers have had a primer coat. I thought it was the best idea because they're not in great condition, and I couldn't sand off all the glue, so it's a little iffy, but I've given them a primer coat and that needs to dry for 24 hours, and then I can give them their paint coat. So I'm still deciding whether they're going to be both pink or if I'm going to have like one pink and one green. We'll see how I feel tomorrow, but for now I have a ton of drawers to clean. I just want you to see the space I'm working with to do this. This is my space. It's not a lot, I'm struggling. It's a slow process, but we're getting there. So I'm going to spray paint the actual record cabinets now, so it's not just primer, and we're going to go for green for the smaller one, and then pink for the big one. There's not a whole lot of space because my partner's got a car in today, so I'm gonna have to be doing this pretty much on the street. So So this is where I'm spray painting, but we'll do what we gotta do. I just noticed this magnet with a bunch of nails attached after spraying, so I guess I'll have to pry those off after it's dried. I don't think it'll be a big deal because it's right at the back anyway, so if the paint comes off, it's fine. It's time to construct some furniture in this tiny space. Yeah, it's okay though, I don't think it was that important. Everything else is still there, I'm sure it'll be fine. This is me realizing I really don't have anywhere to put things right now. I thought this was going to be a lot heavier than it actually is. Got these sorting bins from IKEA. I'll put the name on the screen. I'm really hoping that they fit into this space. So here's the biggest one. It's got no lid right now. Are you kidding? I didn't think they were gonna fit. That's gonna make things so much easier. Look at how cute they are! So now I'm just making that trolley up. This is going to be for all my commissions to try and keep the yarn separate to my yarn stash. I really thought I was going to get this whole makeover done in like one day. It took me 3, 4 if you include the first day of spray painting. And now it's time to put things back. So I want to sort out my packaging because now I actually have to use it and I can't just get away with having one box of boxes. I have lots of different kinds of packaging for lots of different kinds of things and not a whole lot of space. So that was one of the priorities, even though I didn't think about it at the beginning. So I'm hoping to rearrange this cupboard, but most of the stuff that is on there doesn't really have anywhere else to go. I've got a typewriter on there that I do not currently use, but I did repair it and I do want to keep it. So I'm thinking maybe that can go up there. But for the most part, the stuff there doesn't have anywhere else to go. The printer has to stay, there's nowhere else for that to go, and I also can't get to the plug for it, so that is what it is. So we have a lot of packaging, not a lot of space, but I would like to have it all in one place and easy to work out what I need for each thing, because it's been a nightmare trying to dig packaging from all over the place. So this is the shelf that we're going to want to reorganize. Most of this, ignoring the Hoover, that does not live there. But most of this has nowhere else to go. But we've got these boxes and these boxes. We've got, these are for pins, we've got envelopes for prints, we got some stickers, we got glassine bags, labels, cellophane for prints, and then just printer paper. Oh, and then these board envelopes. And I'm also planning on changing my packaging, so I'll need somewhere to put the stuff that I'll be ordering as well, so. I didn't film it, but here is my packaging shelf, and then there's some like sketchbooks and stuff on the bottom. We got my boxes, my jiffy bags, my printer obviously, because that can't move. I'm super lacking in energy and I'm really struggling to get the rest of this done. I think maybe it's because we're so close to finishing, which is good, but all the last bits are like lots and lots of small things. So maybe that's why I'm struggling a little bit. I'm also frustrated because I don't know exactly where to put things. I didn't plan it as well as I did my previous one. Although I guess the next big thing is the yarn back there. So maybe I should just do that and then the motivation will come back. Although saying that, maybe I should just have lunch. Like, maybe that's why I have no energy, is because it's lunchtime and I'm hungry. That's probably that. I've been organising the little drawer cabinets. So I've organised my stickers and my pins and a couple of like small bits and pieces in the smaller one. But yeah, I've still got a lot to do. I think the biggest task is the yarn and tidying up the mess I've made and getting rid of like the rubbish and things, which is never the most fun thing. But yeah, we're gonna have a lunch break, I think. So I got these cute little plaques to go on top of each of the Kallax spaces to mark what type of yarn is in there, so that I know whether it's super chunky, Aran. They're the most 3 common ones I use. I really should have thought about my own height when I did this, because I actually have to stand on a stool to get to the top 2, but it's fine. So we have a problem. All the yarn I've put away so far. These are the 2 slots for super chunky yarn. This is all super chunky yarn. So we have a spare spot, but it's right at the bottom, so I think I'm gonna shift things around so that I can get another spot of super chunky. Honestly, it was perfect before, but now it is so much better. I have so much space to work in. It's gonna suit me much better with the way that my business is going. It was getting to be a real problem. Trying to work in this space when I had so much crochet, so much yarn to deal with. And I just didn't have anywhere for it to go, and now I do. There are still things that aren't perfect. I would still like more space, but this is great. So the studio isn't hugely different from how it was before, that there is more storage space, it's a bit better organised, and my yarn isn't all over the floor. So this section hasn't really changed. I don't really know what to do with my works in progress. This is where I'm storing all of my packaging, all of my shipping stuff. It will change over time because I'm changing up my shipping, hopefully, as soon as I've used up that. Here are my giant teddy bear friends. Moving over here, this is my commissions cart. This is where all of my yarn that's reserved for commissions will go. It's also where unfinished commission hoods and finished ones that are waiting to be shipped. It makes things so much easier to have this separate to my yarn stash. You see the drawers there? That is storing all of my small bits and pieces, jewelry stuff, little things. Prints are up there. And then we got my pegboard, although that's going to have to change with my new PC build. This is where my PC build will go when I eventually build it. And here's my yarn storage. I'm so happy that I finally got space for it. Like, it's not perfect, but it will do, and it's much better than it was. And these bins are for the top ones for yarn scraps, then you got the middle one for rubbish that can't be recycled, and the bottom one for recycling. So I can keep it all separate. Honestly, I am so happy with this extension of the space that I already created. I'm really glad that I've not had to change a whole lot of the things that worked really well and that we did last time. But the changes that I've made, I think, are going to make a world of difference when it comes to being able to work in this studio and have space to function. I'm sure probably within the year there will be another studio makeover, and that'll be when my partner and I actually buy a house and I'm able to move into, hopefully, my forever home studio. It'll be bigger than this if we're lucky. I have high hopes We'll see how that goes. Stay tuned for me to build my very first PC. I'm hoping to have that video done by the end of February, so you'll be able to see that then if you want to see me struggle to build a computer. I've always wanted to, it's been a dream of mine. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love if you could drop me a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos from me. If you want to know when new hoods and commission slots are available, join my newsletter, it's linked in the description box. And if you want to become a member on my Ko-fi to get exclusive discounts and sneak peeks, that is also linked below. Have the best day. Bye!